this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we are talking about all things our Sirius Gateway, and this is all about kind of like how we connect to possibly our home planet. This is kind of an amazing thing that really happens. I was doing some research on another gateway that I'd heard about and kind of doing like my due diligence, kind of like, what is it all about? How can you connect to it? Is it a great thing? All of those kind of like, let's just check it out. And while I was doing that, I found this one and I was like, ooh, this one sounds really interesting. So I will probably do this as a celestial meditation during this time frame. So I'm like, yes, this sounds like really fun. So kind of what happens is our Sirius Gateway is connecting us to the Sirius star, and it's all about kind of like opening up this gateway. And this is really an activation between like Earth, Sirius, and our heavens, kind of like in between the two. So it's kind of like this amazing energy. And I will tell you kind of the way this comes in is it starts usually July 3rd and kind of ends July 7th. There is a peak of a couple of days in there, but this is really considered by many of our ancient cultures. I will say Egypt, Greece, kind of Mayan, a lot of African tribes, that sort of thing, kind of connect us back. Even a lot of Native American ones connecting us back to this star Sirius. And this is kind of like considered our home planet. So that's kind of when it invokes to us. It's kind of like Sirius, the star, heaven and earth are all connected in alignment during this time frame. And what it's talking about is kind of like bringing in our spirits to kind of like go through birth, live our life, death, and then go back up and then come back at a different time. And so it kind of really also invokes like this great past life energy as well. So it's kind of like, what were we doing in a past life? Where were we connected to that past life? How are we going to make changes or upgrades? And a lot of times what they're talking about is like we would come down to earth, make kind of like our issues, problems, solutions, figure things out, and then we would go back up to Sirius, and then come back through heaven, and then come back. And so you're kind of like, here we are making these trips over and over again. And I will tell you, this is a great way to kind of get divine messages from our angels, our archangels, and our our divine creator as well, because it's all about like our spiritual awakening and kind of connecting. Because I think a lot of times like spiritual awakening, what people think it is and what it really is are kind of like two separate issues. So really what a lot of people think it is just kind of like understanding that we have abilities, or understanding this, or we're all one, or whatever else. And I was like, that's kind of like a really low level thinking compared to what it should be, because this is all bringing in that energy of rebirth, bringing that energy of like who we really are, who are we starting. And I think a lot of times like people, even myself, are like closed off, kind of like we're closed off, we're only thinking about this one thing, we're only connecting to this, and there's like a whole other language of frequencies out there that we haven't even connected into yet. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh. And a lot of times people will talk about like first dimension, second dimension, third, fourth, fifth, and I was like, there's vast numbers of dimensions. There's way more than 4 or 5 dimensions. And so it's kind of like that energy of it and being able to connect to that. A lot of us really call ourselves starseeds because we don't even feel like on earth that we really belong. And our abilities and technology that we keep coming up with kind of keep showing us like we belong somewhere else. Like we're like, this is where we chose to be. It's one of those, but our home is somewhere else. Where is that home? Where is that design energy of like, where is our home planet? Where did we decide to come in first? Because that's where we're going to always feel like home. It's one of those, like, no matter how old people get, like they'll be like, oh, that was my home, or my childhood home. And it's like, because we're resonating with that energy, that was our first images of a place. And so that's kind of what our star Sirius does, is kind of like connect us back to that. And usually the first week of July is really that time to connect into this energy. I am totally thinking about doing like some celestial meditations during that time frame to really amp up this energy. So if you're interested, email me below so we can get you on the list. And I think that's kind of the cool part, is like kind of bringing in this energy. This is also a great time to do a super, super deep aura cleanse, and kind of like bringing in our freedom, bringing in our new choices, bringing new technology into what's coming in. And this is kind of like, how do we kind of burst out of that energy? How do we connect to this energy in ways that we haven't done in the past? Because this is a great way to kind of get into that energy without necessarily leaving Earth. And this may also be kind of like that resonant energy of like, where do we want to go back into? What do we want to bring from that past life that we really need to bring into our current life? So let's do some angel cards, and get us some deeper insight into all of our energy into the Sirius Gateway star. Let's see, I got a couple of them kind of really ringing with me. This one is nature. And I think that's part of it, is like our nature is, we always want to go home. I mean, it's one of those, even though people that you can't really always go back home, but that's kind of the energy of it. Like, we want to have that connection back home, that connection to other people, have that like-minded energy with us. We're kind of raised in the same things. It kind of makes it a little bit easier. Listen, this is a great way to kind of listen to our divine energy and ask some amazing questions. I will tell you, divine energy always wants to answer you, but are you asking the right questions, or are you asking them so they can give you that amazing energy? This one upside down is all about emerging. We are always emerging and changing and modifying ourselves. We are never the same energy we were before. No matter how many times we've done our past lives, we're always new energy. We're always changing. We're always emerging into something else. It's never 100% the same. And that's what this one's about. It's all about the new love. We have to find new love in ourselves and new love on Earth. And I will tell people, like, Earth is a planet where you kind of like roll up the windows. I'm kind of scared. This is the scary part of town. It's one of those, this is where we all come. This is the hard place. This is where we all come to learn some amazing life lessons. Haven't you figured out it's kind of hard here? It's kind of just hard. And it doesn't mean that it has to stay hard. It's just one of those, that's usually how we learn our lessons, is through kind of like different trials and errors and energy and that sort of thing. So this is an amazing way to bring in this great energy to connect us into this and bring forward some potential energy of like opening up to our new spiritual awakeness, receiving messages from the divine, kind of finding new freedom in ourselves. And I will tell you, a lot of times when people connect to this, I've talked to a lot of people that have connected to this, and a lot of them are like, as soon as I connected into the Sirius Gateway, it really pushed me to open up new energy, open up my new business, kind of bring out kind of like, what was I afraid of before? It's one of those, I have so much energy behind me. All of that energy is always with us, and all we have to do is connect to the right one, and it will bring in an amazing healing and usually create a lot of an amazing energy for us. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.